get out, there's a hallway that'll extend to our left. We're going to walk left about 20 meters, up a small flight of stairs, through a little gym area, and then up the stairwell onto the top of the roof. It's all really cruisy, and I'll just lead the way. Are you going up or down?
I'm going up, sorry.
Oh, alright, no worries. Down over here, looking at Etihad. I mean, back through into the CBD. You can get on a couple of the roofs up here as well. You can't accurately report on something unless you experience it. Like even when we were coming up here, you would have never known like that little heart rate blip. When you see people, they're allowed to be up here and you're not. Living in the country would just kind of like disappear for hours. It was like a lot of climbing trees. We had like this massive pine plantation across the road. And from there, as I've gotten older, I started doing like rock climbing and abseiling. It led into the urban exploration stuff, and then more recently, climbing cranes. I woke up the morning of the day, I think it was a Sunday, and I was just like, wow, I'm gonna do this in a few hours, you know? I rocked up, I just had my backpack, I had my camera in it and my GoPros. I had a GoPro on my head, and that was it. I remember walking around the bottom of the building and thinking like, shit, is this gonna be like doable? Like if there's security there, am I gonna be able to get in? And then the scaffolding was just a perfect way to get in the building. And the thing is, because it's still being worked on, the fire escape is unlocked. Just walk to the top and then get in the crane. The planning was kind of just rocking up there and doing it, you know, making it up as I went. On the Sunday I did the climb, unbeknownst to me, 2 days before, a couple of kids had tried gaining access to the building. People had seen them go in, called the police called up critical incident response team, they had helicopters there. So Channel 9 acknowledged that in a story they did. Only like a week after that, I did an interview with them, and then they'd said that the kids were influenced and inspired by my climb, even though they went there the day before. From the urban exploration side of things, I've made things very public, and like, because it does involve like illegality, like trespassing and breaking and entering sometimes, I think they're concerned that it's going to make it harder for them to do what they enjoy doing. I copped a lot of like hate on Instagram, people saying they were going to like stab me, beat me up, and these were like little kids as well. That was a funny thing. I had at one point someone called me on a private number and they'd found my ex-girlfriend on my Instagram account. And they said they were gonna rape her, and they were following her home from university, and like that worried me a lot. Had people say they were gonna like find my mom and like beat her up and stuff, like just stupid shit over just climbing a crane, you know. So when I was at the top of the core and the crane was there, I chucked my bag off and I just kind of like took a few minutes to like relax. I was pretty beat. And then climbed up the ladder to the bottom of the crane. Now usually they have like a trapdoor, and that was padlocked shut. And then I realized there was a gap, maybe a little bit wider than my like midsection. And I thought like, yeah, this is doable. So I climbed through there, threw my bag through onto the platform, and then I got myself through, and then kind of just started to mentally prepare like for actually doing it. And then in the video, there's like me looking down and clipping my bag. That was like the first take that I did. I was still recording, clipped my bag in, and then from there just put my arm on and like started climbing it. Eureka Tower being at the same level as me on the sky deck, I thought people would like see me climbing the arm of the crane and then like either call the police or like make a big spectacle out of it, and I didn't want helicopters and stuff like circling around. Climbing up, the only issue I felt was like the wind. It was really windy. Like a lot of the footage I had was, I would say, almost not usable. It's a very like freeing sensation. I was on my own and like you said, that high up, and it's just you and no safety equipment. The only thing that could go wrong is if like I mess up. Ultimately, always keeping contact with the structure. After it had happened and the video was live, I think I got a call from them on the Tuesday night. It was just an officer that said, give me a call, I want to chat to you. And we talked about it and I just said like, how fucked am I, He's like, well, we're not going to have any trouble proving that you trespassed, and that's what the charge is for. They need to be able to tell the media I've been released on summons, but they're not going to pursue the charge. And that was the last I've heard of it. What the police officer told me was, things have blown up so much and the media is so heavily invested in this, like he was getting constant calls, that he needs to be able to give them like a closure to the story for them to then move on to the next like thing, like the vultures that they are. I don't disrespect them in a sense that they have a job to do and that's fine, but I wish they just understood. You have nothing else to rely on, so if you imagine that you're at the top of that and the only thing that's stopping you from falling is your own hands and feet, that focus you have on yourself is like, you can't get that anywhere else, and like it gives you're just focused on one thing. Your mind isn't like a cluster of different things like, oh, I've got bills due, I gotta go to work, like family drama. It's just you're focused on that one thing. I want to show people a different aspect of life as well. It's easy to kind of like stay in our own little bubbles and not know what else is going on. When I got to the bottom, I flicked through my camera really quick and I was really disappointed that I didn't I think I was very caught up in it, and the shots I took at the time, I was like, wow, they're really good. I looked back at them and I was like, they were crap. I don't get any more kicks out of it being illegal than someone does jaywalking. It's almost like complacency. It's just that the structure's high, it exists, and it happens to be behind a fence. So I'd gotten down the bottom and like you said, I had all the video and everything, and I didn't encounter anyone. I just walked down the fire escape, jumped out, and I went and got Subway after that because I was just hungry, I got a text from my foster dad. He just said, you're an idiot, and a smiley face. And then my foster mum, I'd consider her more my real mum, And she was like, just be safe, I don't want you to get hurt. And that was it. Even though it might seem like I've put the footage out there and it's made it very, people can go and replicate it, that wasn't my intention. I set myself goals and I really am relentless in just knocking them over one by one. And I think that's what people didn't understand. Why would someone actually challenge themselves to do something like that, why aren't they just content? Prima Tower. This building here, I'm not sure of the name, and I've done this white crane here too. I don't get that anymore. People say are you an adrenaline junkie? And I'm like, I don't get any out of doing it. I get more of a hormonal rush from working out at the gym, I got excited about being able to show my friends the footage and have them freak out. I was like, wow, this is really something. I don't think I'm ever gonna leave it because it's just going to evolve into more things like jumping off stuff with a parachute. If a company offered me a lot of money to do it, I just wouldn't do it because it's not in line with what my goals and values align to. I got picked on a lot in high school for that because I enjoyed playing video games. I was a bit more geeky. I didn't want to just go out on the weekends and get pissed with my mates. And now it's kind of the same thing, I'm not doing what everyone else is doing, so because of that, I'm not what everyone else is, For me, the urban exploration thing comes from loving my city. Melbourne is a beautiful environment, and I think we're all focused on looking down and not understanding the old buildings around us or the new ones that are going on. We're told, finish high school, you go to college or university, get married, you have some kids, you like work your job, you might go on a holiday once a year. And anyone that does something out of that isn't normal. I grew up in foster care, moved out when I was 17, like lived alone, put myself through university. Life feels very much like existing. And then when I do stuff like that, that's when I feel I'm actually like alive.